And we finally getting some like public education events around for April. So, yep. And then, this week is like
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Middleton Common Council. This is the call to order of the regular council meeting. Today is March 19th. It is 7:30 p.m. and a roll call, please.
Sure. Alder Wilkes.
Here.
Alder Cole.
Here.
Mayor Kuhn.
Here.
Alder Nelson.
Here.
Alder Jackson.
Here.
Alder Hanairo.
Here.
Alder Lorman.
Here.
Alder Crow.
Here.
Alder Schaefer is absent and excused.
Excellent. Starting with public comments, it's limited to 3 minutes, and we have a request from Mary Bechtel. Please come to the front. Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I would like to oppose agenda item number 1 under ordinances for the Mayor Kuhn to use or appoint someone else to take her place on the Planning Commission. It's come to my attention that planning and development is probably the most contentious issue in the city of Middleton at the moment. I graduated from high school here in 2009. The population has grown by almost 25%. And unfortunately, I don't think that responsible and sustainable development is guaranteed unless we have elected officials to be accountable on the Planning Commission. So should you choose and for the council to consider Mayor Kuhn choosing someone else, I would really request that you ask for a second alderperson that has constituents to answer to rather than an appointed citizen on the Planning Commission. The second item I'd like to bring up is not on the agenda, but I imagine it will come to Common Council in the immediate future. I attended the March 12th Planning Commission meeting and specifically wanted to talk about 2 parcels of land on the south side of Terrace Avenue that are being considered by the Planning Commission to rezone from residential to mixed use. My intention for bringing it up now is to give the Common Council enough time to question the process and the implications of this development. Only one alderperson sits on the committee, Alderperson Hanairo, who has voiced the desire to rezone all parcels on this block to mixed use in spite of the recent completion of the future land use map. I am not against mixed-use development when completed responsibly and sustainably. For purposes of time, I would like to focus on the 0.25 acre undeveloped parcel that's part of the designated Quarry Hill Conservancy Environmental Corridor, of which that website went down less than 24 hours after the public hearing on March 12th. I have brought that to the City Council's attention. It makes it very hard to organize with my neighbors when I don't have that information. The Planning Commission has not presented any environmental evaluation or impact report for what this could do in case of the flood like 2018. We have a city attorney here. Is it considered negligence if there's not due diligence on what would happen for blasting into the bedrock at a hillside and removing mature root structures should a natural disaster occur? I ask that to all of the alder people. I hope that you think about this prior to just the general summary of the notes. This was a contentious public hearing and it deserves more attention than just one agenda item on this during the Common Council meeting. I also have been in touch with the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission, which is a state agency. It's an appointed agency. And from my understanding, the Planning Commission said that if CARPC says that we can remove the designation of this environmental corridor, that the city's able to rezone, no problem. So I just want to bring this to everyone's attention, especially the young people in this room who have a future in Middleton. It's not okay to not hold our city officials to the future land use map that they just completed purely to build a 5-story, 70-unit efficiency and 1-bedroom apartment building. The blasting that will occur will take place within feet of one of the oldest historic districts, residential neighborhood in downtown Middleton, in addition to the Little Red Schoolhouse, which is one of Middleton's oldest historic landmarks. When a natural disaster occurs, when foundational cracks are found in these old homes, I hope that all of the alder people have time to consider this and not make it a blanket approval without knowing that this is not something that the neighbors have taken lightly. I do not live in this district. I'm speaking for someone that lives in District 3. And I think everyone needs to think strongly about this as our downtown green space is being removed forcibly by blasting into bedrock and digging out root structures of an endangered oak savanna parcel of land. I'm not sure if that's my 3 minutes, but I just want the impact of my points to be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Hearing none. Moving on to the approval of consent agenda as recommended to council by committee, commission, board, including the common council minutes of March 5th, the audit of the bills to be paid as recommended by the finance committee, and agreement with Vanderwall and Associates for consultant services for subdivision ordinance rewrite. Is there a motion?
Yes, this is Haniro. I move to remove item number 3 for discussion and approve the items 1 and 2 on the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
This is Wilkes, I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda items 1 and 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Moving to item number 3, agreement with Vanderwall and Associates for consultant services for subdivision ordinance rewrite.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agreement with Vanderwall and Associates for consultant services for subdivision ordinance rewrite with the changes recommended by the Finance Committee.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I second.
Any discussion?
Can I-
Hearing none. All-
Well, can I just ask what the changes
Sure.
were?
It was just a reordering of one of the items that was listed, I think, as a work product number 5. I had requested that the consultant work up front with the staff to identify what the exact process is that we need to follow for approving the ordinance when we get to that point. And it was showing up as one of the last things to do instead of one of the first things to do. There was also a mistake in the reference to Wisconsin statutes that referred to chapter 263, and it should have been 236.
All those in favor of approving the agreement with Vanderwall and Associates for consultant services for subdivision ordinance rewrite with changes as stated by Finance Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the amendment to the agreements. Number 1, amendment to specialized aviation services service operations or SASO agreement with Capital Flight. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, the Finance Committee referred this to the Airport Commission for additional language.
Brian, do you need us to make a formal?
No, I mean, this item will just be acted on after the Airport Commission provides their recommendation back to the Finance Committee. So it'll just come on a future City Council agenda.
Number 2, agreement with Solas Natural Burial Preserve for holding tank installation. Is there a motion?
This is Wilkes, I'll move approval on behalf of Public Works.
This is Haniro. I'll second on behalf of Public Works.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agreement with Solas Natural Burial Preserve for holding tank installation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to budget, identify additional funding for 2024 reconstruction of Lake Street and Dewey Court.
Madam Chair, as recommended by the Finance Committee, I move that we direct staff to prepare a budget amendment resolution for consideration on or before April 16th to provide additional funding for the Lake Street and Dewey Court reconstruction project based on the actual bid results using a combination of the following. 1, park development funds for the lake edge just for the lake edge. 2, reallocation of capital carryover for the Graber Pond elevation control project in the amount of $242,200 $257 with that project to be funded through the stormwater utility, and 3 unallocated capital carryover funds as needed.
Is there a second?
Thorman will second.
And do you have all of that out, written out, Brian, for the motion?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Can I just get some clarification from the finance meeting? So were we able to keep the Kenyon resurfacing project and Elmwood resurfacing project as a result?
Yes, that was the priority was to not bump any of our planned road construction projects. And by putting the cost of the park development onto the park development fund and using the $242,257 that we had earmarked or already allocated to the Graber Pond elevation project, putting that appropriately on the stormwater utility, that allows us to cover the shortfall, and any additional amount, well, right now is estimated to be about $10,000 that we would bill to the unallocated capital fund that the finance committee just recently left unallocated.
Great, thank you. I have some comments that have been sent to deliver on behalf of the Parks and Rec Committee. This was a begrudging confirmation of using park development funds last night at the Parks meeting. This isn't even zoned a park yet. And the project was, I'm trying to trace the origins of this project, but it's kind of before I was on Parks, and it was before a lot of you were on the council. And it was kind of put in the Parks Department's lap to figure it out. They had a design, but it was really premature, and it should have been a road project first. And so the committee members are feeling like this project was sort of forced on them. We did vote in favor of giving the 200,000 some dollars. We made it not to exceed down to 50 cents. But I just wanted to bring this up because I don't know if there's an improvement that we can do on the order in which projects are taken up. I mean, usually we're on top of this stuff. So it just has been feeling very odd, this whole project. I'm glad it's going to work out. I think it'll be great. I just wanted to make those comments.
I do appreciate that. I think, and I'm speaking because I was the alder when it started, now mayor, obviously. But one of the struggles we had was that the parks would tell us being neighbors, when I would talk to them, talk to the street folks. The street folks were saying, talk to, like we were trying to, so, and I'm not saying either of them are at fault. I think it is an opportunity to do communication better in the future as a city. I think it's one of those things that we rarely do a road into a park. And so sort of doing this the right way. I think staff tried their best to move it forward. I think also that it was it was a hard process because the intent is in the right place, especially as we're trying to stop the Allen Boulevard wash off of cars into the lake. That was one of the impetus to get it moving. And so I could see where as parks, they want to do what they do holistically with parks every time. But this really touches a lot of different perspectives. And I think the critical difference is that usually a park is a park. And so they're doing a redesign, or they're doing a new a new development, and they get a park space and they get to design it. This is a road that they were trying to do an improvement to really help the health of the lake, especially at that edge. And in doing that, it was an imperfect process. So, but I do send my apologies to the Parks Committee, but I do appreciate their support.
Yeah, I have no doubt that staff tried their best. I have no doubt about that. But the Parks spent money on a plan that was then totally changed. And the plan that they came up with would not have cost this much. And they're mad that they're spending this on park development funds when their original plan wasn't going to cost this much. So, yeah.
That she has to
Yeah.
talk, so if you're.
Well, no,
Room
finish
set.
your thought. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember there being estimates for what the, I'm trying to remember the original evolution of this project. And I'm pretty sure that the design that was selected is the one that the park staff recommended, because I know I preferred the other one, but there were, logistics reasons for going with the one that was selected. Your point about the zoning is appropriate, and I had thought about that just the other day, thinking, wow, we're going to have to zone this because there is no zoning. It's a right of way. And so that will add a little bit of green or park zoning to the city. I think this is going to be a really neat project. I think it'll open up the lakefront for a lot of people, especially in this growing neighborhood. And I appreciate that the Parks Commission was willing to look favorably upon this request to use park development funds. And any way that processes can be improved, I'm all over that. So I would welcome their suggestions. I know, being a member of the Public Works, this has always been primarily a water main and road project. So it's nice that the city is able to do two things at the same time, but duly noted that maybe the process needs to improve.
Right.
Any other comments? Hearing none. I'm sorry, I think you had a specific.
Do you want me
motion.
to read okay.
Please do.
The motion is to direct staff to prepare a budget amendment resolution for consideration on or before April 16th to provide additional funding for the Lake Street and Dewey Court reconstruction project based on the actual bid results using a combination of the following. 1, park development funds for the lake edge. 2, reallocation of capital carryover for the Graber Pond elevation control project in the amount of $242,257, with that project to be funded through the stormwater utility. And 3, unallocated capital carryover funds as needed.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, the recommendation to eliminate parking and access agreement related to Greenway mixed-use project, the Ponds redevelopment site at 8309 Greenway Boulevard.
This is Hanairo as the council's representative on the Plan Commission. I move approval.
Is there a second?
This is Wilkus, I'll second.
Any comments?
Abby, could you just explain a little bit about this to me? I thought last time I questioned this project and you had said that it was on hold. I thought it cut at the
Yes.
committee of the whole.
That,
Okay.
and that still is the case. So the zoning was approved by the city council for the ponds redevelopment. That's the 2 buildings, at the corner. And it was Galway Companies, who also manages Greenway Station, that was requesting the rezoning. And they decided, after getting the rezoning approved, to put the project on hold. And they actually were reaching out to other developers to see if they might be interested in developing the site. Bill Burns and I met with one such developer who was taking a look at it. And our understanding is that at that time was that Galway was dropping the project and that they weren't moving forward. And 2 weeks ago, Steve Doran reached out and said that he did decide that he wants to pursue purchasing the property, but it is possible that he would purchase the property and just hold it for the time being, rather than going ahead and constructing it as it is proposed. But one of the contingencies for him purchasing the property is to remove this requirement that the other properties, the other two lots within that CSM would have access rights to be able to park on lot 2. It is, I think, I'm pretty sure the ponds is lot 2, if I'm remembering that correctly. So the seller to Steve is the owner of the other 2 lots, and the parties all agree that they want that restriction removed. But there was something in the agreement that said that the city had to grant approval before they would be able to remove that. So it's not all often, I guess, at least as far as I know, that the city would be a party to cross-access easements for private developments. They commonly exist, but it's not common that the city would have the authority to approve or deny the removal of them, but in this case, we do.
And is it because was there a SIP or a PPD already for that site? Was it because it was that far along in the planning? Is that why?
There is an SIP that covers all 3 of those properties. Yeah, they're all part of the Greenway Center PDD area.
So is that why that they're wanting it then? Does that matter anymore?
I mean, that was the old zoning that was in place, but now they're getting zoned to a new PDD. And just the layout that they had put forward and gotten approval for, and, you know, we don't know whether they're going to move forward and construct it as they have gotten approval for, but as they have the approval in place, it wouldn't work because all of the parking is underground. So there wouldn't be an opportunity for other lots to have access. Yep.
Okay, thank you for.
Yep.
Any other comments? All right. All those in favor of approving the recommendation to eliminate parking and access agreement related to Greenway Mixed Use Project Ponds Redevelopment Site, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to ordinances, first reading. Number 1, the ordinance to revise section 2.061 of the Middleton Municipal Code to permit the mayor to choose whether to sit on plan commission or make appointment. There a motion?
This is Cole on behalf of LNO. I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second that motion.
Any comments? Alder Wilkes?
I would just like to say that it's my opinion that the mayor should continue to sit on the planning commission. I want to distinguish the work of the planning commission from the work of the many other city committees. The role of the city committees is to guide the work of the departments in the city, to guide budget plans, and oversee the implementation of programs, policies, and the spending of that budget. The planning commission is in a space of its own because it does not oversee city work. It is the space where the city and the public meet. Guided by city policy, the planning commission applies those city policies to private investments. It is the intersection of development and the city. The planning commission makes important decisions about how the city is going to look and function, how neighborhoods will grow or change. It serves as a significant function in Middleton's identity. It is because of this role the planning commission plays in crafting Middleton's identity that I strongly believe that the mayor should continue to serve on it as a voting member. Anyone who serves as mayor should have a clear vision for Middleton and should, I feel, want a say in implementing that vision. While an appointee may assist in implementing vision, by using a proxy, the mayor avoids having to cast difficult votes. It is a way to deflect public scrutiny and critical decisions for Middleton's future. By not serving on the planning commission, the mayor has no accountability to voters. The mayor does not vote in council, and if they are removed from the planning commission, they will possibly never have to cast a vote in their tenure. For the transparency of our small city government, the mayor should remain as a voting member of the planning commission.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Did you want to weigh in? I'll go first. I I recognize that other municipalities don't require the mayor to be member of the plan commission. A state statute doesn't require it. And I have no problem with making this change. I'm wondering, how do we need to specify in the proposed ordinance how the vice chair will be chosen if the mayor appoints the alderperson as chair?
Yeah, no, under our other part of our ordinance, all the committee, the default is the committees themselves appoint all their officers. And so this is one exception. The mayor chooses the chair, but beyond that, the default would automatically be that the vice chair would then be chosen by the committee itself. So that is fine. Well, what I have,
And the effective date, we would need to specify. an
yeah,
effective
I
date.
think the similar effective date and when it's ready for me, I think there is some additional language that I've thought about that should be addressed to address the term. Originally, when I was in Illinois, I was thinking this was going to work a little differently until I compared it to other term language. And so the way I intended this to be drafted is that this person would serve at the pleasure of the mayor. But I see that potentially conflicts with our citizen appointment terms. So if we're going to consider this, I would consider adding to what we have as section 2.062C. Add the following language that the mayoral designee shall serve at the pleasure of the mayor, but in no event shall the appointment survive the mayor's term at the time of appointment. The same person may, however, be reappointed after commencement of a new mayoral term. So that's just to ensure that the mayor doesn't in the, second to last year of the term, appoint somebody and that survives beyond. This would be just somebody that would only serve during that mayor's term. I thought that would kind of operate as the default, but after further thought about it, I realized we really do need to add some additional language in order for that to be the way it works.
May we see this on the screen?
I'm just wondering if this came up because of time issues or why this change is being requested.
It's a great question. Thank you for asking. Well, I'm glad that you're asking. First of all, I did look at state statute because we need to make sure we're always meeting state statute. And second of all, what I found in the last year was what we look at Plan Commission is what we hope to do in Plan Commission is everything that Alder Woke has said. However, what we do in Plan Commission is deal with whatever's in the pipeline. And what's been in the pipeline for the last year is generally tall buildings. And sometimes they're contentious. I'll be honest, some of those votes are hard. But I'm not doing this to run away from a hard vote. I'm doing this because we can't seem to get houses on the market. In the last 4 years, if I remember correctly, we've only had about 24 single-family homes built in the city of Middleton. And the school board has asked me to build more homes because apartments don't bring in the families and they're missing children in the school district. Voters have asked me, residents have asked me, can we bring on more single-family homes? Can we bring on more affordable homes? Can we bring on more townhomes? Can we bring on more condos? And if in Plan Commission, we can only deal with the things in front of us a little bit of the time, because how do I bring it on? Now I'm saying this because if in 5 years we could only bring on 24 houses, that predates me. That means the prior mayor struggled with the same problem. A lot of apartments being built, not that that's a problem, but where is this housing? Where is it coming from? Where is the infill? And if we keep doing the things that we've always done and we get the same outcome, how are we going to change? The residents are asking us to build homes, specifically affordable homes, workforce housing. And I want to spend my time doing just that. I want to spend my time making sure they're getting in the pipeline so that the plan commission can look at both apartments and infill and houses and make the market whole.
I totally appreciate that. I'm wondering, just wondering if the plan commission would be that place for you to take control and say, we're not doing the pipeline, we're gonna do it this way. I mean, can you, as the
Ask
chair of
Abby, I know, but ask Abby if we can throw out 18 months of things in the pipeline.
I'm not
'Cause
trying.
I'm pretty sure Abby's gonna say, we need to work on the things in front of us.
I understand. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just saying, like, isn't planning commission where you could say, this is where we're also gonna work on housing? I'm not on it, so I don't know.
Well, I'll let you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as the council member who's on the Workforce Housing Committee, I mean, this is something that, it's music to my ears to hear that there's going to be support for whatever comes out of workforce housing in terms of recommendations for how to use the TID 3 extension. I'm wondering, and one of the things we talked about briefly the other night at Workforce Housing is the possibility of having our community development authority be more of a housing authority and charged with doing the type of outreach and recruitment, if you will. And is there a role for the mayor on that? I know you're a ex officio member of every committee.
I chair the CDA.
Okay.
And by state statute, we're supposed to be doing that as part of the CDA. So it's an excellent point. Now, the other thing that I wanted you to know, because you wouldn't know, I've been working with staff, specifically with the planning director, to add in these topics that I care so passionately about, that in my first 10 months, as we deal with the pipeline, we aren't talking about these wonderful things, but we're doing it in a way that brings in those committee chairs to share, to have staff provide it. So we're doing one on housing. I welcome you all to join us. I believe it's the next one. We're going to do one on the art, corridor, because you have to unite the city, whether you're using the parks or the arts or the walking or the bus transportation routes. What are we doing to bring neighbors together? And there's two more topics like this. I think one's mass transit and the bike walking. I think the public works chair is going to come and talk about that. And there was one more. So it is something I'm trying to build the culture of. But as I do that with intent to bring someone in so that they can deal with the pipeline until we can get those houses moving forward. Now, if we can do both, say like after a year and a half, the pipeline has worked through and we get them on boarded into the pipeline, then I can always step back because the rule is written that he or she serves at the pleasure of the mayor. The mayor can still be on it. Or we can defer.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in,
I'm sorry.
There was one issue that was brought up at LNO, and I think Alder Hanaira was getting at this, but it was to the term of the designee. And so that's where Nat's language would be. So I would move to amend the ordinance as drafted to include the language of the term of the designee. So I think that's what you were asking to see on the screen, but I don't know if that's available.
Yeah, it's not.
Can you read it to us again?
Yeah, yes.
Matt, and see it,
So
and see the
it's
original on
added
the screen?
to what you saw before, added to the end of 2.06, parent 2, parent C. So after not be subject to common council confirmation, it would say the mayoral designee shall serve at the pleasure of the mayor, but in no event shall the appointment survive the mayor's term at the time of appointment. Period. The same person may, however, be reappointed after commencement of a new mayoral term.
Then I will move to make that amendment to the main motion.
I think I just moved.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So,
Okay, so you're amending your own motion and I'll second that amendment.
And we need to vote on that first,
On the
Ryan?
amendment first.
Okay. Any comments on the amendment? Hearing none.
Do we understand the effective date? I don't think it's in there.
Yeah, that would be, I think we'd have that the same
Right, but we
effective
need
date
that.
as the, because this is one of the only remaining committees that still gets appointed at the April meeting. So
well,
it would be,
Maybe we vote on the amendment to the language and then somebody's got to amend the main motion to add the effective date and I'll do that.
All those in favor of the amendment on the table or the current amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes 6-1.
And I would like to amend the main motion to add an effective date of, how did we phrase this?
I think this one we can probably just do straight up April 16.
For April. Yeah.
Because we won't have the
16.
Okay.
committee meeting that evening.
Okay, so I will move that we amend the main motion to add an effective date of April 16th, 2024.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Any comments? All those in favor of approving the current amendment, including the language effective date of April 16th, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
I think that passed 7-0, 6-1. Okay, thank you. Oh, any opposed? My apologies. I think that's what I forgot. Okay. Then it goes back to the original. Can you help me?
Motion as it's been amended twice.
All those in favor of approving the ordinance to revise section 2.061 of the Middleton Municipal Code to permit the mayor to choose whether to sit on plan commission or make appointment, noting the two amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No,
Motion passes 5-2. Okay.
Okay, so that's first reading. So second reading will be at the next council meeting.
And we'll have the amended copy. Okay, thank you.
Next is the ordinance to amend section 1.041 of the Middleton Municipal Code to consolidate the finance and personnel committees.
I would like to move that we suspend the rules and move to the second reading.
I'll second that.
Any comments? All those in favor of suspending the rules and moving to the second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous, or yes, motion passes unanimously. Now moving on, the ordinance to amend the section 1.041 of the Middleton Municipal Code to consolidate the finance and personnel committees. Is there a motion?
This is Wokus. I'll move approval on behalf of LNO and the Finance Committee.
Specifying an effective date.
Oh, yeah, specifying the effective date to be at the, when the new members are sworn in on the April 16th, 2024 council meeting.
This is Nelson. I'll second on behalf of personnel.
Any comments?
I just want to say I am so happy to see our strategic plan action of consolidating committees have an impact. And I know more are to come, but there's nothing, as someone who worked a lot with feds, no offense, Madam Mayor, it was very frustrating to write plan after plan and then see them sit on the shelf. So I'm super excited that our strategic plan is being implemented with this very step.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the ordinance to amend section 1.041 of the Middleton Municipal Code to consolidate the finance and personnel committees, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next is planning and zoning, number 1, Specific Implementation Plan, SIP, Castle Rock Multifamily Redevelopment, 6414, 6418 University Avenue, and 2009 Lakeview Avenue.
Madam Chair, I move approval as recommended by the Plan Commission with
Sorry.
can we bring up the 9 contingencies showing on the screen? And I will add that the bottom contingency about the 2 light fixtures labeled OA5 shall not exceed 4,000 lumens. That was something that the developer was willing to do, even though they were not required to meet the standards of our new lighting code. They were willing to do that.
This is Cole. I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the SIP Castle Rock Multifamily Redevelopment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to resolutions. Number 1, Resolution 2024-09, Public Water Main and Sanitary Sewer Easement Agreement and Bicycle Path Easement Agreement for Solas Natural Burial Preserve. Is there a motion?
Go ahead.
Okay. On behalf of the Public Works Committee, I move approval.
Is there a second?
Mrs. Wilkes, I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution 2024-09 Public Water Main and Sanitary Sewer Easement Agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 2, Resolution 2024-10, Release of Public Utility Easement at Rock Ridge Apartments.
This is Haniro on behalf of Public Works. I move approval.
Mrs. Wilkes, I'll second.
Any comments? All those in favor of Resolution 2024-10, Release of Public Utility Easement at Rock Ridge Apartments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to number 3, Resolution 2024-11, Release of Sanitary Sewer, Public Water, and Pedestrian Easements at Rock Ridge Apartments.
Mrs. Wilkes, I'll move approval on behalf of Public Works.
This is Haniro. I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 2024-11, Release of Sanitary Sewer, Public Water, and Pedestrian Easements at Rock Ridge Apartments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 2024-13, declaring intent to assess costs of improvements for Lake Street and Dewey Court reconstruction.
On behalf of Finance, this is Haniro. I move approval.
Foreman, second.
Any comments? All those in favor of Resolution 2024-13, declaring intent to assess costs of improvements for Lake Street and Dewey Court reconstruction, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 2024-14, resolution to participate in the preparation of a cooperative plan with the town of Middleton. Is there a motion?
This is Nelson. I'll move approval.
This is Crow. I'll second.
Any comments?
I have one question for Brian. The extension on the agreement, how did that turn out?
After the council meeting, at which we talked about this last, I had sent a communication over to the town representative asking that same question and letting him know that the council would be taking up this resolution. I've not received a response on that question.
All those in favor?
Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
I just wondered, have you named anybody and when you're gonna, okay,
I think we have.
we'll deal with that later.
That'll be under
Sorry.
discussion item
Sorry.
number
My bad.
1.
Oh, good. We're excited.
Right,
We're just so
let's
excited.
jump.
Yeah, we're ready to go. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-14, resolution to participate in the preparation of a cooperative plan with the town of Middleton, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Yes,
Just a point of information to answer your question. I do know that they had an item related to this topic on their agenda. I believe they're meeting concurrently with us, so there may be some communication from them after tonight.
Okay,
Sorry.
thanks.
number 6 is resolution 2024-15, providing for the sale of approximately $4 million general obligation promissory notes.
This is Haniro on behalf of the Finance Committee. I move approval.
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-15, providing for the sale of approximately $4 million general obligation promissory notes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 7, resolution 2024-16, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $4 million general obligation promissory notes.
This is Haniro. I move approval on behalf of the Finance Committee.
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Any comments? All those in favor of resolution 2024-16, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $4 million general obligation promissory notes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 8, resolution 2024-17, resolution to participate in the preparation of an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Springfield.
Nelson moves approval.
Is there a second?
This is Crow. I'll second.
Any comments?
Madam Chair, just a point of information. So this item, under our current IGA with the town of Springfield, 5 years out from the expiration of the agreement, we have to formally agree, both parties have to formally agree to discussion. So that's what this resolution is. Doesn't mean that the meetings need to necessarily get scheduled anytime in the future, but we're both following the procedures outlined in our current agreement.
All those in, wait, did we just vote on this one?
Yeah, you've got a motion and a second.
Okay. All those in favor of resolution 2024-17, resolution to participate in the preparation of an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Springfield, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to discussion. Before we do that, I see there's a lot of young people in the audience. Is there a certain group here tonight? I'd never asked if
They are members of a Boy Scout group. They are observing as part of a badge, I believe, for, what is the badge for?
Citizenship in the community.
Yes,
Can you repeat that for the microphone?
citizenship in the community.
It's one of the core badges that you have to achieve to progress higher up in your ranks.
Well, thank you for all coming up. So we're moving on to discussion, and thank you for indulging me, and thank you for sharing that. Discussion and potential action on selection of council members for cooperative plan negotiations with the town of Middleton. Anybody like to, Brian, would you like to help mediate the?
Sure. So as I mentioned at the last meeting, it would be important for the council to identify what subgroup of members you want to meet with representatives from the town of Middleton. You can pick how many you would like. I would suggest, 3 is probably the appropriate number, in addition to staff members who'll be there. So I don't know what process you want to follow, if you want to self-nominate or have somebody nominate yourself, but I think 3 members would be good for us to start with.
I'm going to not put my hand up for this. I firmly enjoy intergovernmental discussions, but I want council to lead in this. And I want to remind you that we have 2 people stepping off the board for the council, and we have 2 people coming on the council. And as they will be very, very new, I would ask you to not consider the new people, to give them some time to get their feet wet. Now, if you do need me to step up and be part of it, I'm always happy to, but I'm looking to your leadership.
Sorry, I didn't see, sorry. Go ahead.
I think I would like to make sure that we have Alder Lorman on as committee member for the airport. If he's accepting.
Yes, I'll accept.
I would also like to nominate Alder Schaefer because of his district boundary.
He's not here.
He's not.
to accept that.
Accept a
Um,
nomination.
That's what happens.
So there are 3 spots. I want to make sure we have strong people at the table. And I want to make sure that we are thoughtful in all of our discussions. You know, I want to make sure we're level-headed. I think Alder Schaefer is. I'm not saying he's not, but he's just not here to accept it. So not.
Well,
not
and
knocking
tonight is potential action, so we can defer it if there's consensus that it makes sense to put him on it, we can defer action for him to weigh in.
Understood.
yeah.
That's a very good point. But I do want people to put their hands up and be interested in it and be thoughtful at the table. Alder Haniro?
Madam Chair, I appreciate both Alder Lorman and Alder Schaefer and their situation with the airport expertise and also the district boundary. I would also note, however, that to go into negotiating something very sensitive like this, it's good to go in without any documented, I'm just going to say disrespect shown towards the town. And at the last council meeting, when we talked about this, regretfully, both alders said something that I would consider to be disrespectful and therefore disqualifying. And it was a public meeting, it was recorded, it was in the paper. And so I would have concerns about both of those alders serving.
Thank you for sharing your concern on that. And I do, if the group feels that either of those alders who have made comments at a public meeting, then if those 2 are selected or one of the 2, we will have to make amends prior to meeting and make sure that heretofore we are respectful. I do say that because what many of you may not know is that the town of Middleton chair had a meeting with me around 2018 under the guise of she was meeting with all of the councilmen separately and that she was having meetings on certain subjects. None of it was true. I was yelled at for over 30 minutes by the chair. Can I sit with her and have those negotiations? Yes. Can I be respectful? Yes, because I did it then. However, I would bring my baggage into that meeting, and to give her and her team a fair chance, I'm not going to go into that room. But I'm letting you all know that I expect us to all bargain in good faith and with diligence. I saw 2 hands here. Haniro, please go.
I would like to nominate Alder Jackson for the same reason that Alder Schaefer was nominated. His boundary is shared.
Thank you. Alder Lorman?
Yeah, I wouldn't construe my comments at the last meeting as anything being disrespectful. They were never aimed at an individual by name or person. And I would be the first person to welcome any opportunity to find a way to have a dialogue with the town in a way to be a good neighbor, given the contentious nature of the airport from their perspective. And I don't think it's fair to be criticized in the context of last council meeting for being honest. Just honest. To sit here and say that there isn't hostility would be dishonest. But sitting here and saying that it's really nice to have a dialogue with the town because maybe it's an opportunity just to listen and hear things out. And if the airport presents such a contentious point, and when it's really not a large area in terms of the boundary, I think in terms of all the rest of the boundary that the city shares with the town that are a matter of all other issues well beyond the airport. So I guess, that's why I want to be part of the process, to keep the facts very clear as to the operation of the airport. That's it. I think the airport is just, it's misunderstood and misrepresented in terms of how it operates. The airport is part of our national transportation system. So it's like having a 4,000-foot piece of Interstate 94 cut out of the ground and set in our city that's open to the whole country to use. And that's can be challenging for people to understand and to deal with. So if I can bring clarity to that and a voice to that, and understanding to it, great. I think the past year on this council, I've demonstrated that I'm not a confrontational person or looking for a fight.
Well, I appreciate you wanting to bring clarity
Yes.
and facts. I greatly appreciate that, but we must all tread carefully.
Yeah.
There are sensitivities.
I just wanted to just reiterate that the facts and the fact that we do have an airport, it does make Alder Lorman an important part of this discussion, I think. So,
They're both.
I share similar concerns to what Alder Hanairo is bringing up. I think that expressions of distrust, even before we have agreed to go into discussions with another government body, I think we need to have folks who have not expressed that distrust present, because I think in order to show a truly good faith effort in this, we need to have folks who are just very willing to not only be part of the discussion, but info gathering and be able to bring things back and defer to some of our city committees for input through a process. And so I do support Alder Hanairo's nomination of Alder Jackson to this, being in the district of the airport. I think that's a lot of pertinent experience, and very certainly can defer to the airport commission as necessary. I also would nominate Alder Hanairo to this. I think that Alder Hanairo has demonstrated very level-headed and clear skills and ability to have very difficult discussions without bias, and certainly has experience with the airport commission and can defer to that body when input is needed through the part of the negotiations.
Thank you for that. Okay.
I just want to throw out the comment that part of it is us going to the negotiations, but the other part of it is also looking at town of Middleton and understanding where they're coming from. And I know that they have issues with our airport, so I'm wondering how well they'll listen to anybody associated with the airport. I mean, I know that that wouldn't be an issue for me. going into a negotiation with another town, but react is, I guess, part of my concern. So I just wanted to throw that out too. I wouldn't have a problem with Alder Norman being on the thing, but other than how the town of Middleton would approach the negotiations.
I want to say thank you for bringing up that thought, because that perspective is always healthy. And what you all may or may not know, I sat on a village board in Ohio for 3 years, and we had that same problem, Alder Crow. We had to abide by the city of Columbus, who we were set a boundary with. Whatever they decided, we often didn't even know. We would find out weeks later. And it really had that feeling of what you're saying. So I am very cognizant of what you're saying, and I appreciate that perspective. And it's something that if we go in with the spirit of wanting to do good things, I would hope that they would receive us, because you are a new group, and a lot of them are used to say how we did things 5 years ago. And I would hope that you are all the wonderful representatives of the Good Neighbor City, as I know you are. And I have full faith in whoever goes to that table. But keep us on page. Keep reminding us that. Alder Jackson?
Appreciate Alder Crow. And it was very well versed in what he said. So I'm going to nominate Alder Crow to be on there. I'm also going to accept my nomination because of what Alder Poe said. That is my district. Not only is my district, I don't know if many of you know, but I live in Hidden Oaks, so I live right on the borderline of the town of Middleton. So I'm right there. So I can have conversation concerning the airplanes and everything else because my house is right there. And I do think that we should definitely go into this peacefully, and not to ruffle any feathers, so we can have that good conversation.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I will second his nomination of Alder Crow. I think Alder Crow is a peacemaker and a calming influence.
Thank you for that. And I hope that all of you feel the love of these nominations. And if Alder Nelson has not been nominated yet, because I'm not great at notes, I also nominate. We're all going. We're hitting them on. Feeling some love. Okay, so Brian, you wanted 3. It sounds like everyone's in. Now, how do you want to move forward with this?
Given that Alder Schaefer's not here to decide whether or not he wants to accept the nomination, I guess I would suggest that we hold this over to the next meeting so we have 5 individuals that have their names nominated. At that point, then the council could vote on which of the 3 of the 5 they'd want to move forward. You can vote on them. Somebody can make a motion for a package of 3 individuals, or you can vote on them individually. That individually is probably the more clean of the 2 paths.
Is that reasonable, everyone? We agree to that. Do you need any?
Nope. We'll put this on a future agenda.
Thank you. All right. Next, updates on committees, commissions, and board by council members.
Wait.
Actually,
Did I miss
Missed
one?
one.
Session 2.
Number 2.
Changing the dates.
Oh, I have so many notes. I took so many notes. My
You wrote right
apologies.
over it.
Discussion and potential action on rescheduling. Oh, this is important. April 2nd, Common Council and Finance Committee meetings to either Monday, April 1st or Wednesday, April 3rd, due to April 2nd as Election Day. And thank you to staff for remembering.
So just a point of information for the council. Again, this is a policy decision of the council. You don't have to move the council date, but again, I think it came up during last year's April and November elections, that, given that there's a city council meeting that runs at about the same time that the election polls are closing, and did have a situation where somebody came to City Hall thinking that this was the polling place as the council meeting was going on. Just wanted to provide you with the option to decide if you wanted to move the meeting off of Tuesday, April 2nd. And if so, you could choose, either date. I believe those two dates do, the first or the third do not have a conflict with another city meeting. So you just give us direction and we'll notice the meeting thusly. And if that's the direction you want to go, we'll do the same for the November election as well.
This is Nelson. I will move that we change the committee or the council meeting in April to Wednesday, April 3rd, due to the April 2nd election day. Given that Monday, April 1st is a committee meeting night for parks. I don't know if Wednesday is a problem for anybody.
I think
I won't be able
Monday's
to be
also
here.
Public Works. The Public Works, that was, no, okay.
So my motion stands at April 3rd.
Can I ask you to add the finance committee to that?
Sure. And at the same date, Finance Committee will be meeting before Common Council.
Is there a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Any comments?
I won't
Hearing-
be here. Sorry. I don't know.
It happens. Thanks for the heads up.
Potentially me too, TBD,
Mm.
TBD.
Thank you for letting me know. All those in favor of approving the rescheduling of the April 2nd Common Council and Finance Committees to Wednesday, April 3rd, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yes,
You
Motion.
really want to be here.
I want to be here.
Actually,
One? Yay or nay?
I was a nay.
They're neg.
Man.
So,
I was, yeah, you can switch it. I don't,
okay,
yeah.
6-1. All right. Good job, everybody. Thanks. Just get a little panicky. That's all right. Updates on committees, commissions, and board by council members? Anybody? Go ahead, just.
I guess I could just, it was touched on earlier tonight. I think somebody mentioned it when we voted on the change to the personnel and finance, but LNO passed changes to the ordinances to consolidate the other committees that were suggested by the Committee of the Whole, which include Stormwater and Water Resources Committee, and the consolidation of Parks and Forestry. Those have been referred back to their committees and will hopefully be able to be voted on by council before the next term. But because of the way things fall, it might be until after those committees are appointed to council members, but just FYI that has been circulated.
Much appreciated.
I will point out that Water Resources has it on their agenda for tomorrow night, so
Thanks.
hopefully we'll have something soon.
Great. Alder Jackson.
Update on landmarks. I want to commend Daphne. Ever since I put Ho Chunk into her lap, she is all over it. Emails I'm getting, I mean, mounds. She's every meeting. So Daphne is doing a great job staying all over top of that mound situation. So we will have some good news and success soon that we can take back to the Ho Chunk Nation. Let them love on us. I also want to say thank you, City of Middleton, the staff, the council members. The pre-visual was a success. People are still talking about it to this day. And I thank you guys for coming out to support. Even it's being talked about in Madison. Michael Johnson was part of the Boys and Girls Club, have invited me to many events because of it. It turned out he's all over Facebook, like talking about how City of Middleton really came out. I attended the funeral of the children, the family. I mean, just so much love. And I want to say this, they were so blessed by what happened. The family paid it forward. They had more money than they needed for the funeral services that they donated $1,000 to a lady who had cancer and was blind. So it was awesome. That turnout, we really stood out. Thank you guys.
Thank you for sharing that. It was a good thing for the community.
I want to give an update on the Plan Commission, but first I want to mention for Alder Jackson and the Landmark Commission benefit, and everybody really, there's a movie playing, a documentary playing at AMC in Fitchburg. It's called Bad River. It is amazing. And it's about the fight that the Bad River Band of Indians has had to wage for their sovereignty. So I think since we're working more closely, we're trying to work more closely with the Ho-Chunk, I think that would be good, a good experience for everybody to go see. So the Plan Commission, we met, I was sick, so I attended on Zoom. There was a long hearing related to the Terrace Avenue proposed development. Just want to clarify because there was some, I didn't see the press coverage of it. I don't think it's been in the newspaper yet, but at the forum that George Zent hosted for the alders who are running, there was some misinformation there. The change that has been approved by the Plan Commission 5-2, it was a change to the future land use map for one of the sites, changing from established neighborhood to downtown mixed use. We decided not to address the rezoning of any of the parcels. We put that one off until we could hear back from CARPC, Capital Area Regional Planning Commission. This, if you look on the flu map, and I think the zoning map too, this area does show up as environmental corridor. So does the skate park and the parking lot that is attached to the skate park. And even though CARPC did offer to the staff that they referred to it as it could be a minor amendment to the environmental corridor, and that's a technical term. They identify in their guidelines what's a major amendment, what's a minor amendment. This one would meet the criteria of a minor amendment. But their suggestion to the staff was that they could change it if the city supports the development going through. And I noted that that is not the correct approach to take, because you all know I'm very process oriented. And I said, if any of this entire environmental corridor section that's on the hill and on the skate park and Verns or near that, if any of that is not technically environmental corridor according to their criteria, that needs to be updated. And it should be done not just for the parcel in question, it should be done for all these parcels. And so I believe the planning department staff were going to be reaching out to CARPC and maybe actually go out and stake this property. Mention was made to, I believe it's the website for the Quarry Park Conservancy. The reason that disappeared, I brought it up to Abby's attention and I asked her, I said, our Visit Middleton site refers to this property as a 6.2 acre parcel of what was traditionally oak savanna, but is now overgrown with invasive species. And Abby said, why is that on our tourism site? Because that is not a welcoming thing that you would want to have. So that's why the page is missing, because it was, it either was not accurate or it was accurate and not appropriate for a Visit Middleton site. But the Conservancy itself is in the Conservancy lands plan, and I would like to see that area get some restoration work done. Anyway, so we will be coming back to the rezoning question after we hear more from CARPC about what they can do to update that particular section of their environmental corridor. And also, as for the blast plan, we're not at the site plan stage. We just reviewed the concept, and there really was no detail on what the blast plan is, so nothing has been approved on that.
Excellent. Sounds like we're busy.
Yeah.
Very, very busy. So any other hot topics? Okay. Hearing none. We're moving on to adjourning. Thank you for everyone for being here tonight and for your patience and for all of our listeners in.